Betty Gilpin, you had worked with the creators of Glow previously on Nurse Jackie. So, for your part on Glow, was that a part that they wrote specifically for you, or was it kind of a part that they hoped that you'd be able to play?
Gosh, I don't know if they wrote it specifically for me. I wonder if, like, in 30 years, I can be like, did you guys write this for me or what? But I don't think so. But they had mentioned it to me, uh, you know, like a year before I auditioned for it. They said, we're writing this show about Glow, and I didn't know what Glow was. And then I Googled it and saw that it was about, you know, like basically like Barbie women who were having a psychic break throwing each other across a room. And I was like, I closed my computer, be like, it's my wildest dream. So I'm glad it worked out.
And how much contact have you had with the original Glow people?
Not too much. I mean, Babe the Farmer's Daughter came to set one time, season one, and we've met a couple of the other ladies, but it's really loosely based on the original real Glow. So we haven't had too much contact with them, but they're amazing.
I'm not sure how it works. Like, you play the character Liberty Bell when you're
Yeah.
in the ring, and is that something that kind of is your role forever, or do you see yourself playing, something else, putting on a different costume in future seasons?
Yeah, I don't know. It would be fun to play a heel or a bad guy at some point, but I originally, when they told me that I was going to be a face, which is like a good guy in wrestling, like, oh, that's so boring. The bad guys get to do all the fun stuff. But playing Liberty Bell she's just, I base her on, like, if Blanche Dubois was committed to an asylum and left there for like 10 years. I love playing her so much. And I told Liz and Carly, I forget sometimes that it's one show. I feel like I'm on a show where it's Debbie and it's like grounded real kitchen sink scenes. And then I'm on a show called Glow where I'm just Liberty Bell and they just film at the same time. And I forget that they're the same show.
Yeah, tell me more about that dynamic with you kind of like as the good guy, because Ruth is kind of the de facto lead of the show, but I feel like she very quickly turns into a punching bag for everyone because she is a homewrecker, right? Whereas you're maybe more of a supporting character, but you're also much more sympathetic.
I mean, I think both Ruth and Debbie are uh, flawed in their own ways. I mean, when I first talked to Liz and Carly and they said, "Oh, you're auditioning for the friend," I was like, "Oh, I don't want it to be, the perfect sort of semi-righteous Barbie, like Gwyneth Paltrow has it all together person who's like disapproving of the crazy mess." And I don't think that at all. I think that Debbie is, always on the verge of screaming naked in the street. And I think that while she was wronged by Ruth, certainly, and it's pretty black and white in that sense, I think that their friendship definitely had flaws before this incident happened that, Debbie is responsible for too. I think Debbie probably did like 80% of the talking at brunch with Ruth and forgot to ask her questions sometimes, and is definitely the alpha in their relationship. And then her life explodes and she has to kind of navigate, okay, how can I be an alpha person with all the answers when I now have no answers and my life is a mess. So I think she's learning how to live as a complete mess.
I've seen the show described by the creators as kind of being the story of the relationship between Ruth and Debbie. But do you think that that relationship is even worth saving?
I really do think that their friendship is worth saving. I mean, I think you encounter people in your life who there's like this really thick soul rope, like from your gut to their gut. And you kind of have these mirrors in each other where you can where they see you so clearly and you see them so clearly. And as life gets messier and more complicated and scarier, you have to cling to those people. And I think that if Ruth and Debbie weren't that for each other, that this would have shattered their friendship and they should never speak to each other again. But I think they're realizing just how much they love and need each other when a friend apocalypse happens.
Now, Glow was on, I feel like, a very long time ago. So can you recap where we left Debbie Eagan and also kind of just broadly, like what direction she's going in for season 2?
Yeah, so when we last saw Debbie and Glow, they had just filmed like our last episode, our Netflix show Glow last episode was their pilot episode of the show within the show. And Ruth and Debbie were sort of at this strange place of kind of denial and trying to skip over the step of actually having the conversation of, you really hurt me, here are the ways in which you hurt me, on both sides. And I think in season 2, we sort of see the repercussions of skipping that step and how it sort of eats away at them. Every time I have a scene with Ruth, I always think of Debbie sort of reaching out to her with one hand and holding like a shiv or a knife in the other, ready to gut her. But she also really loves her and needs her. And so in season 2, we sort of see the behind the scenes of them creating and making the show within the show.
And how's the wrestling in season 2? Do you feel like you kind of understand everything now? It's kind of just routine, or are you, I don't know, branching out?
I mean, no, we really upped the ante in season 2. You know, I thought that we were doing the coolest, craziest, most difficult stuff in season 1, but I'm in so much physical pain, but it was so much fun. And Debbie definitely does a lot of wrestling in season 2, and we do a month of training beforehand before we start shooting. And the biggest, craziest moves that we learned in season 1 is where we started in season 2 and sort of built from there. I mean, you just feel like a superhero when you wrestle. I never played a sport ever. You could do Shakespeare and musicals as a sport in my high school. I can't run a mile as a result to this day. And I mean, this is the first time that as an actress, I've been asked to use my whole body in a powerful, functional way instead of just like, please don't fire me, I'm a lawyer in a tiny dress. Now it's like, we're going to need you to throw Alison Brie over there. Like, okay. Really fun.
I read a lot of interviews last night about, like with you, that you did in the press after season 1 came out, about how the wrestling made you a lot more confident and now you're free to change lanes whenever you want. What's the progression of that now that you've shot another season?
Right. I mean, it's funny. It really changed this show completely changed the way that I think about my body and think about its function in the world. I mean, I guess my high school theater director told me that I was a good actor from the neck up, and from the neck down, I was just terrified Betty. And even though that really stung at 15 years old, he wasn't wrong. And I carried that into my 20s. I thought that I could sort of get away with having acting be a sort of cerebral, sort of dreamy, hidey, journal-y experience, and then just have my body be the thing in the costume and like suck it in through the wide shots, and then in the close-ups we could get into the good stuff. Glow and wrestling was the first time that I was able to sort of eliminate the male gaze representative in my brain when I thought about using my body in sports and exercise and wide shots. And that's been carried into my career and other things that I do and in my life. You know, I don't take exercise classes anymore. That's like, let's tighten this, or no man will ever love us. Lift 2 pounds, not more than that, because you have to stay small. Now I'm like, you know, throwing tires with Allie Brie, the love of my life. Allie, not the tires. That'd be weird. What if I revealed I was married to a tire in this interview?
And is there a particular stunt that we should be watching out for in season 2 from your character?
Oh boy. There are a couple. In my fight, I fight Welfare Queen, spoiler, in this season, and she does a splash on me, which is when, like, basically at the end of season 1, I do a crossbody splash where I jump from the corner, and it's basically when you jump and land on the floor. And, you know, we choreograph it pretty exact, and then sometimes they'll throw in stuff while we're shooting. And Chavo Guerrero Jr., our wrestling coach, was like, hey, Key is going to do a splash on you. And I was like, I got it. I'm basically a professional wrestler. We can do this. And she like runs and jumps on me. And I they always tell you that if you feel actual physical pain, don't forget to sell the pain and make it, you know, so you don't waste the take. Because when you're in actual pain, it's very small and quiet. And they cut away. But what happened was she jumped on me, you know, I thought all my bones were broken. And then I just went to the edge of the ring and held the ropes and like just quietly breathed and looked out like I was like an old widow on the bow of a ship being like, ah. So look out for that one.
Okay. Yeah, we will. And now tell me about receiving the nominations that you did for your performance in the first season. You were nominated at the SAG Awards for Best Ensemble and also individually for Best Supporting Actress at the Critics' Choice Awards.
Yeah, it was really exciting. I mean, you know, I did primarily theater for like 10 years, and it was sort of easy to tell yourself when you're doing a play in a black box theater with 2 people in the audience, like, hey, don't think about the result. Think about the work. It's just you'll just get in your head if you think about the result. And it's easy to do that when no one sees it. So this was kind of the first thing I did where, you know, a lot of people saw it. And so to be recognized and not to be, you know, egged in the streets was really nice.
So we are coming up on the Emmys. So if you're nominated for Supporting Actress over there, you'll have to submit an episode that's kind of your best showcase from the first season. Do you have an episode in mind?
That's what happens?
Yes.
Wait, what? Okay.
They put it up on the Emmy website, and then, you know, people want to see, you know, samples from each of the nominees then.
Okay. That's so scary. You're saying what episode would that be?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
When were you at your best?
Oh, I definitely don't know. I mean, I hope that I don't have to be the one to make that decision. I'll choose one and they'll be like, Betty, that's the one you're not in. I'll be like, this scene. They're like, you're asleep in that scene. I don't know. I don't think I would sleep tonight if I was like, this episode, it was my favorite. I don't know. You choose. You tell me, you email me, and I'll just choose that one.
Okay.
You don't say it now.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you just about a couple of other roles you've had. American Gods was announced. They're just starting up production on season 2. Are you going back to that one under the new showrunners?
I'm not, because my character Audrey D, not B, is no longer in the book. She doesn't come back. She basically has her scene where she's on every pill in the Real Housewives pill canon and drinking all the drinks and stopping in a graveyard, and then she doesn't come back. But I wish that, I mean, that show was so much fun. And it weirdly coincided, the filming coincided with Glow, and it was sort of the perfect timing where, I don't know, I just reached a point acting wise where I was like, I want to make the biggest choices always, and it's not maybe going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm a crazy, weird clown person, and I'm not good at making small faces. So I am making some big faces in American Gods. It took a big swing.
And finally, I saw in some interviews that you were talking about how you'd previously worked with Dylan Minnette, where it was like a teacher-student relationship on Law and Order, and you wanted to reconnect with him, hopefully at some Netflix event. So did that ever happen?
Oh God, the phrase "wanted to reconnect with him" sounds super creepy. I mean, in like a "hey, good to see you" way. I haven't seen him yet. I just missed. We were ships passing in a Netflix event we just had in Rome. But yeah, we did a Law and Order SVU where I was his science teacher, and we were having an affair. And this was like 8 years ago, so it was even creepier than it is now. It was super weird. We only had one scene together, but I was dead in the scene. He kills me. Spoiler.
Like he's still in high school on TV, so.
Yep. Super weird.
All right, Betty. Thanks very much for chatting, and we look forward to seeing Glow Season 2 very soon, and also you at the Emmys, hopefully.
Yay, thank you.